Hey guys, good afternoon. If you're in the US, it'll be evening, late evening if you're in the UK or further beyond. I'm just going to give folks a moment to jump on here and we're going to get started into day 20 of Chris's Mind Renovation Devo. I can't hardly believe that it's almost over. It's been 3 weeks for those of you that have been on the journey for this whole time. Well done. I just want to say well done. Today and tomorrow, we're getting down to the end. And so today, Chris and I were going to do this together, but unfortunately, Chris has been nauseous all day today. No, she's not pregnant. Don't worry about that, folks. I promise she's not pregnant. So pray for her. She didn't feel like doing this, so I told her I would gladly do it for her. So please, if you're willing to just say a prayer for her, give me a shout out, put comments on there, put some praying hands or prayers coming your way, and Chris will know that you are praying for her. I appreciate that so much. But anyway, you ready to dive right in? We're going to get right into today. I'm so excited. Day 20 is wasted brain cells. And in chapter 20, or in the 20th Devo, Chris gets into how easy it is to waste brain cells. And she says that one of the favorite responses to life's demands that she has is, I'm not going to waste brain cells on that. For those of you that are old enough, you remember to live in the 80s. If we've got some millennials on here, then you know you don't remember the 80s. But for those of us that were been around long enough, we remember Nancy Reagan had the "Just Say No to Drugs," and then we had the commercials. The famous commercials had an egg and it said, "This is your brain," and then a frying pan, and they put the egg in the frying pan. "This is your brain on drugs." Anybody remember that? So we can remember those things. Well, really, if you had the same kind of a picture, you could say, this is your brain, and then this is your brain on stress. But instead of being in a frying pan, it would look like an old rusted car. You say, what do you mean an old rusted car? Well, actually, let me just read this to you. Scientists have discovered that prolonged stress damages, yes, physically damages your brain cells. Cortisol creates a surplus of neurotransmitter glutamate. Glutamate creates free radicals, unattached oxygen molecules that attack brain cells in the same way that oxygen attacks metal, causing it to rust. So stress rusts your brain. So right now, get a mental picture of an old car down by the beach in that humid air, totally rusted out. That's your brain on stress. Nobody wants a rusty brain. Now, there's a couple of kinds of stress. There's smart stress and there's stupid stress. If there's any tennis lovers out there, Billie Jean King, the great tennis player, said this. She said that pressure is a privilege, because if you're not under pressure, you're sitting on the sidelines. You're not on the tennis court in the game. So there is the pressure of life. There's a pressure of actually doing something great. If you've ever attempted anything worth doing, how many of you can raise your hand and say it put pressure on you? That kind of pressure isn't bad. Sometimes God is squeezing us. And you say, what are you talking about? Think about this. If greatness is a seed, every seed stays in potential form until you put it in the ground, and the pressure of the soil squeezes the greatness out of it. So sometimes life seems like it's killing you, but it's squeezing greatness out of you. It's squeezing the potential that God put on the inside of you, outside of you. So we're not talking about that kind of pressure. That kind of pressure produces greatness. But then there's this stupid pressure. You're going to have enough of that, and there's grace for the pressures of life, but the things that we add to ourselves that are just dumb, those are not really productive. So that's dumb stress. That's stupid stress. So let's talk about that. I'm going to give you, out of Chris's book, 5 things that are stupid stress to never waste brain cells on. Because literally, that stupid stress is killing your brain. It's killing your mind, and your mind is prime property. Your mind is a beautiful thing. So are you ready? I'm going to give you these 5. You can write them down and think about them. Number 1, never waste brain cells on what you can't change. This is where the control freaks in the house say, help me, Jesus. Are there any control freaks out there? If I was watching right now, I would put up my little emoji, my little hand up emoji. So if you're a control freak and you just, or maybe a recovering control freak, or maybe you've been delivered from being a control freak, but you know that's your nature, maybe you just put up your little hand emoji and just say, I got my hand raised. I admit it. Now I'm looking over here at a few people that have joined in. Great to see all of you. And I don't want to call you by name, but I need to see some of those hands because I know a few of you are control freaks along with me. And sometimes we those of us that are control freaks are wasting brain cells on things we cannot change. They're going to be out of our control. You know, if you're in school and you've taken a test and you're worrying over the score, the grade, there's no point in that. You can't control it. The test has already been taken. If there's something anything that's outside of your control, if you had an evaluation at work and the evaluation's already over, you can't worry about that. God will give you grace to face anything that you can change. But the things that you cannot change, there's no grace in trying to change it. If you can change it, then ask God and he'll give you the grace to do it. Maya Angelou said this, if you don't like it, change it. If you can't change it, change your mind or change your attitude. Amen. So number 1, don't waste brain cells on things you can't change. Number 2, don't waste brain cells on things that are none of your business. Ouch. How many times? I love Nicole Cooper. I think I'm growing. Yes, you are, Nicole. You are growing. I promise you. I've watched you grow a lot over the years, and so am I. My hand was up, but I'm growing. I'm learning. I'm getting better. Praise the Lord. So things that are none of your business, we can all say, ouch to that one. We've all got instances where we realize that we got involved in something that was none of our business. And remember, God gives you grace to face that which is yours. He does not give you grace to face that which is not yours. Have you ever looked over somebody's shoulder and read something you shouldn't have, maybe read a text that you shouldn't have, or overheard a conversation, or worse yet, overheard part of a conversation, thought you heard the whole thing, but really didn't? And you realize that, you know what? I didn't have grace for that. Chris tells a great story in the book. She says this, that there was one time I was dealing with a pastoral issue or something, and she overheard whatever the story was. She overheard it, and she was saying, oh, God, I don't have a grace for this. I don't know how I'm going to deal with this. And God just spoke to her and said, because it's not yours to have a grace for it. I gave Dwayne a grace to deal for it. He's the one dealing for it. It's none of your business. Listen, you'll face enough things to receive grace for. Stay out of what is not yours. Don't clutter your brain and waste your brain cells with things that don't matter, especially gossip. See, gossip is none of my business. I was so proud of somebody that I've been a voice in their life for all of their life, really. They had gotten a new job, and some people at work were gossiping about somebody they knew that they were very close to and friends with. But the people gossiping didn't know that this person knew the person they were gossiping about. But instead of just letting that go, they just said, you know what? Number 1, I'm not going to get involved in it. But they just said, please, I don't want to hear that. I know that person. They're my friend, and I love them dearly. And I think what you're saying misrepresents them. See, they weren't worried about it. They weren't cluttering their brain with it. They just shut it down and realized and then put it out and went on. So don't clutter your brain and waste brain cells on things that are none of your business. Number 3, what other people think of you. You know, I'm going to confess that all of us deal with this. I probably deal with this less than my wife does. My wife says she is a recovering people pleaser, and she is. She's gotten so much better. When we first married, she worried about it a lot. But I'm going to tell you, it just doesn't do any good to worry about what people think. It's just, it's pointless. My spiritual mother, Pastor Beebe, Pastor Beebe is my spiritual father, Pastor Velma Hankins, my spiritual mom, used to say it this way. She said, if you wouldn't worry so much about how much people think about you if you really knew how little they did. Most people don't think about you nearly as much as you think they do, but you think about what people think about you a whole lot. And you know what? Even if they are thinking bad of you, there's probably not anything you can do to change it. So don't waste your brain cells. Look into the face of Jesus, because you know what he thinks about you? He thinks you're amazing. He's not mad at you. He's mad about you. He's madly in love with you. He thinks you're amazing. He created you and he loves you the way you are. So don't waste brain cells on what other people think about you. Start thinking about what God thinks about you. Then number 4, don't waste brain cells thinking evil of others. Man, this is so good. Thinking negatively or evil about other people sets toxins off in your brain that affects your whole body. It will literally make you sick. When somebody hurts you, bless them. Matthew 9:4 says, why do you entertain evil thoughts in your hearts? Our emotions follow the directions our thoughts determine. Let me say that again. Our emotions follow the direction our heart determines. Have you thought about that before? If you continue to focus on faults and negative qualities of somebody, that's what they will be to you. Think about this. If you would think positive thoughts over your spouse, they might become the person you're thinking. But if you've been for 20 years thinking negatively of them, they're becoming to you what you perceive them as, even if they're not that to everybody else. Why? Because you thought that way. Luke 6:28 says, bless those that curse you and pray for those who mistreat you. I think it's so important that we need to do that. We need to bless those. If somebody, instead of thinking evil, if somebody hurts you, don't think evil of them, bless them, pray for them. It'll change your attitude and it won't rush your brain. And then finally, the last thing that you don't want to waste brain cells, rush your brain over, is things that stirs up strife. Whatever stirs up strife. There are so many arguments in life that don't matter. I'll tell you what, I'm getting so frustrated sometimes with social media. I love this outlet because we can do things like this, and thank you, so many of you, for joining in and being with us. And one of the reasons we want to do it on social media is to put something positive out there. I just can't believe the Christians that are involved in visceral diatribe rather than honest dialogue and discussion. I've been watching in the last few days Christians destroying one another, people that I've known for years speaking ill of one another and talking bad about church and about each other and spewing horrible things and unfriending each other and challenging each other and quoting scripture out of context and just being ridiculous. I found myself watching some of it and getting it and so tempted. There were times I was typing responses and then I went, just stop. Just stop. Don't get involved. Don't go down and get in the mud when people are slinging it. Just say, I'm bigger than that. I'm above that. I'm not going to get down into that. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't have honest discussion. That's different. And I did see some people engage and say, hey, can we stop the mudslinging? Can we stop criticizing? And can we start having conversation? Now that I appreciate, but that's different than stirring up strife. And that's what a lot of post people put are just heartless and thoughtless and mean-spirited. And we say we're Christians. It's wasting brain cells. Don't do it. Just walk in love and make a difference. Even if you're right, the stress that it puts on your brain is not worth whatever you're doing. Protect your brain cells with and against needless, stupid arguments. Well, I hope those 5 things will help you. I hope that those things will encourage you and bless you. And maybe today you can just stop and think about which one of those 5 are the biggest ones for me. If you want to, you can share it. If you don't, you can just think it yourself. But of those 5 things, which ones are the biggest ones for me? What I cannot change, what's none of my business, what other people think of me, thinking evil of others, or that which stirs up strife. Which one of those 5 things? We all deal with them, some more than others. And I just want to say, your mind's a beautiful thing. Don't let it rust on stupid stress. And then you can have grace to face the real stress, the real problems, the pressures that make you great. I want you to think, what do you think about Billie Jean's comment? Pressure is a privilege. I actually agree with it. I believe that good pressure is a privilege because it squeezes greatness out of me. But I'd love to hear what you think. Remember, if you haven't got your comment, thank you for joining me today. Please pray for Chris because she's not feeling well. If you haven't got your copy of Mind Renovation, do that. You can go on Amazon or Kindle and get it in the UK or the US. We would really appreciate this. Do us another favor. We've done this as our gift to you. We want to be a blessing. We've given away hundreds of downloads in the first 9 days of this Devo. That was our gift to the people that joined in with us. Would you tag a friend? Would you share this? Would you tag somebody that needs to hear this and encourage them today? Maybe you'll help somebody prevent brain rust by listening to this little Devo. God bless you. You have a beautiful mind. Your mind is prime property. Chris has been telling you that for 3 weeks. God bless. Have a great day. We love you. There's nothing you can do about it.